I've had sleep paralysis my entire life. I remember having it as a child, a teenager, and now as an adult. It seems that it has progressed through the years to more intense episodes. Here's the first time. Like any other night, I laid my head down on my pillow while glaring at the moon, unable to fall asleep. Eventually, I dozed off and fell straight into paralysis. First, it felt as if I were falling asleep. I started to feel my mind fade and my body getting heavy as if I were about to start dreaming. Then, nothing. I'm lying there in the darkness, still aware of my surroundings, completely not noticing I wasn't awake. While still trying to technically fall asleep, I eventually got bored and wanted to move. So I tried to sit up. Nothing happened. I'm thinking I'm just tired, being lazy. Let's try again. I tried again. Can't. So I kept trying and trying, getting more and more panicked. I put in maximum effort to just sit up. I'm physically straining, trying with every inch of my body. I could feel my muscles contracting as if I were actually moving. I began to sweat and became aware that my limbs were numb. I can't feel my legs, my arms, or my head. I was paralyzed. After trying for some time, I decided it was time to yell for help. I called out for my parents. Mom, Dad, help. I could hear my voice in my head, but I couldn't see my own body, and I wasn't moving. I called out again, and the same thing happened. I began to scream, help, 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 Mom, Dad. I was trying to move my entire body at this point. I'm completely freaking out. I have no voice, nothing. I got unbelievably scared. What do I do now? I can't move, I can't speak. How do I help myself? After the initial dread set in, I started to come to terms with it. Maybe, just maybe if I can move my finger, just my one finger, I won't be completely helpless. So I began to focus on my pointer finger. Just a wiggle will work. The tiniest little movement, anything. I was concentrating so hard, but started to notice that it was only getting worse. I couldn't even hear my own voice in my head anymore. It felt like my eyes were moving as if I tried to look around, but I couldn't see myself. My eyes were closed. Suddenly, it got very quiet. It was quiet before, but somehow it became even quieter, as if the sound in the room dropped below what a person should hear. This made me hyper-aware, so I sat there and just listened. I heard from the corner of the room a whisper. Amanda. I tried to look at where the voice came from. I didn't see anything. Again, I heard, Amanda. I can tell exactly where it was coming from at this point, but nothing is there. I could hear a footstep, but I couldn't tell where from. Something spoke again. Amanda. Except it was a different voice coming from a different corner. I tried to look, but couldn't. Slowly, more and more voices started whispering my name. It was all coming from every direction. I heard a loud thud, the kind that should make you jump. I was terrified. The voices got louder, but were somehow still whispering. Amanda. 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 It felt like they were right next to my face. I could sense their presence. I was surrounded. I felt heavy. It was so loud. My head felt like it was going to explode. It was too loud. I just wanted it to stop. I tried to move, to scream, yell, wiggle, sit up, speak, anything. At this point, it was so loud that I felt as if I could pass out. My body was exhausted. My muscles and my mind were tired. That's when the voices started to fade out and get quieter. I felt a little relief in what seemed like hours of struggling. I wasn't sure what to do. I began to think there's nothing I can do. I needed to calm down. I started to focus on my breathing. In and out. In and out. Very slow and steady. It didn't seem to be working, but I kept trying. I started to panic again. My breathing became rapid, almost as if I was hyperventilating. But I could feel my finger. I started to wiggle it. I thought, it's moving. I swear it's moving. It has to be moving. I kept focusing and kept breathing and trying to move my finger. I was tired, but I wouldn't quit. Then all the voices came back all at once, 10 times louder than the unbearable level of before. My hand flew up off the bed. The voices halted, but I was still so scared. I jolted out of bed and pushed myself against the headboard. Shaking with fear, I looked around the room for the people who taunted me for so long. I saw no one. I couldn't stop shaking. I sat there against the wall, frozen for what seemed like forever, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. I couldn't tell if I was awake. I still felt slightly numb, almost as if I wasn't real. I started moving my hands and fingers. They didn't feel right, but I could feel it. I moved my feet and rocked back and forth on my bed. I started to calm down, but I was still in disbelief of what had just happened. So I started to search my room. I looked in the closet, under the bed, and even in some of the most ridiculous places. In the dresser drawers, behind my vanity. I even opened the window and looked on the roof. I sat for the next hour thinking of my experience until I finally calmed down and grounded myself back in reality. Just enough to slowly fall asleep.